A215. So this week we're talking about designing programs for older adults and considerations related to that. So there are some slides, a video lecture from myself, and then you're going to work on your activity plan draft. So what's due this week is a draft of your activity plan. So let me load that up. So it's 4 parts. And again, this is a draft, so this is just your starting point. So the first part is the introduction of the client. It should be 2 paragraphs roughly. And ideally, this is someone you know, a relative, a family member, or a friend, an older adult. And here are some things I would like you to consider in the introduction. First, a summary of any findings from a health history questionnaire or physical activity questionnaire. And obviously, we want to be sensitive to health history. No identifiable information should be on this assignment. And also, if the individual you're working with doesn't want to share health history, then that's okay too. I just want you to be aware that I'm treating this assignment in privacy and confidential. It's not going anywhere. You're submitting it to me for a grade. This is the first draft. So I just want to be clear that I understand if we're asking for health information, that results in a consideration for privacy. So I understand if that information is not readily accessible. But with that said, the health history questionnaire also informs us and generates questions in designing the exercise program. So we have to balance that out. If you do not have access to any older adults, friends, family, or otherwise, you may use under week 6 the slides, that health history questionnaire I filled out and the physical activity questionnaire I filled out for that gentleman I worked with. Also use the PAR MedX or the PAR-Q depending on their age, and consider the senior fitness test, or consider some type of assessment, whether it's one piece, the chair sit and reach or the back scratcher. Those are some simple things that can be done that will help to inform you designing the workout program. And then the most important thing, I think, well, one of the most important things in the introduction paragraphs are, what are their goals? What are they interested in gaining from a physical activity program? For the warm-up routine, how are you going to increase their heart rate? What types of activities are you going to do? And what's the environment? In St. Lucian's, I'll tell you, our warm-up routine, if we were there, was basically, my dog in the background, is to go joint by joint. So, neck, we did neck circles, we did shoulder circles, we did wrist, elbow circles, finger, thumb circles, knee, hip, foot tapping, raising our feet up and down, because we were mainly restricted to chairs. So, the warm-up routine number 2 is really just, how are you going to elevate heart rate prior to the activity? Part 3 is the workout. So go back to part 1, consider how you're going to meet their goals. And I want you to develop the workout based on the goals they've sort of outlined for you, or what you see from the assessment. Does it make sense to generate a muscular strength type of routine, or a muscular endurance type of routine with resistance training? What about power or explosiveness? What about cardiovascular endurance or balance? And I want you to just investigate a few activities. And so that you have a restriction on this, envision that this is 60 minutes with a person. Okay, so in 60 minutes, what could you get done? Warm up, workout, and then cool down. Okay, so again, just a draft. I'll give you some feedback the following week. And for part 4, the cool down, how are you going to end the session? So maybe it's a time to look at certain movement patterns with flexibility and mobility. Maybe there's certain stretches or movements that we can do, or the social aspect. Perhaps it's a time to think of some fun brain games, or music or other types of activities that we can engage in that aren't necessarily from a physical aspect, but from a cognitive or just social well-being aspect. Okay, so that's it for this week. It's just a draft. I'm asking